Right. I am Dr. Danny Jean, founder of I Am My Will, Words Travel LLC. And it is my honor today to have my brother, Albaner Eugene Jr. How are you today, sir?
Sir, I'm doing great. It's an honor to be here, Dr. Gene. Honor to be here.
Awesome, man. Just really excited to learn more about what you're doing in the community, your
Mhm.
impact. You mentioned before we got online that you were, where was your last show? Just this past
North
weekend?
Carolina. North
Where,
Carolina, yeah. Raleigh, North Carolina. Actually, Raleigh, downtown Raleigh. Yeah.
and how'd that go?
It was good. The hospitality is amazing. That's what I will say. And I was very grateful. I met a lot of people, new people, and that was really good. The people are great. We were supposed to drive originally, and then we ended up flying, and it was like an hour flight, so that was pretty cool. Well, I had to take an emergency flight. Somebody actually blessed me with tickets too because I really needed it. So that was cool. That was
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
And where's your next stop? And talk a little bit about what you're doing at these tour
I
dates.
got you. Yeah, so our next stop is in London in August 17th, actually in London. Well, the event is called What's the Word? Essentially, I'm a man of faith. My upbringing has been in church, and primarily the Word of God has always been, I would say, the focus of me being raised. Like I was raised by a mother who was really big on making sure we stay in the Word, making sure that was like she would say this thing, and I always crack a joke. She would say, "Yo, make sure y'all read a chapter every day." I'm not saying we was like perfect with it, but like we definitely made sure we stayed in the Bible. But that essentially the event is the celebration of the Word of God in this generation. Like I literally just created like this platform that just puts the Word of God on a platform that I believe it deserves, and just we're just showing people how relevant it is, how important it is, and how it really is such a great foundation of faith and hope and love. Like I really just want to encourage people and inspire people and give people hope. Like that's really the essence of what it is. It's really an encouraging event to help people just keep going, despite maybe what they're going through, despite what they may be experiencing. And then there's like a twofold aspect to it where I also promote like being in community and how you're gonna need people. You're not gonna be able to do this life alone. So like, what's the word? Is literally it's an event about the Bible um, that encourages people to keep going, keep the faith, uh, hold on to hope and the promises of God, and then also get around people that are also gonna keep you encouraged. And so yeah, that's really the event.
That's awesome. I had a chance to catch your Newark show a few years back in my hometown.
Hmm.
That was amazing. And you talk about the expression of God and love. There was so many different ways that was being expressed through dance.
Yeah,
I thought I saw a little theater there. There was panel
yeah.
discussions.
Yeah, that was the celebration. So the celebration version of the event is where I also kind of just celebrate, the performing arts. So like there's dance, I'm incorporating poetry, there's song, and then even when it comes to theater, like I'm actually incorporating something that's a surprise. Like I'm bringing on someone that is going to do a little bit of like almost like a monologue. And then I'm a filmmaker. So like I have a film that I play at the event, just yeah. So I love the arts. I'm a creative. And so like I just stack it all in.
Yeah. So
It's
you
fun.
you mentioned surprises. I have a surprise. Somebody wants to say hello to you,
Oh
uh,
wow.
and they have a question for you. So let me see if I can get them on.
Oh wow.
Can you see the screen?
Oh wow. Ha ha. That's funny.
Let's uh let's 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 see what this gentleman has to say.
To my brother Albaner, a true man of God, a mighty warrior for the kingdom, somebody who is a
Mm,
blessing to so many people, including myself.
mm.
I don't know where my life would be without you being in it. It has been such an amazing journey with you. And so thank you for loving on me, my family, the people that you love on, the people that you pour into. We are eternally grateful for you, Albaner. I love you, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep walking in that anointing. Keep allowing God to use you, and keep putting up that good fight for the kingdom. My question for you would be, how do you advocate for yourself, right? You pour into so many people. There's so many things that you do. I know as believers, we're selfless individuals, but how do you advocate for yourself when you know that this is what God needs you to do in that moment? How do you go about doing that?
Mm.
Trends on Dr. Reggie Walker.
Yeah, it's a
How,
great
how do
question.
you
It's my
advocate
guy.
for yourself, and how does that make you feel hearing these words?
Yeah, I mean that's my guy, Reggie, Dr. Reggie Walker. That's that. I could be here all day talking about him. You know, he is. We have such a great relationship, and just even how our relationship started. It's so funny. It's funny, you know. I'll start from there. How do I advocate for myself? Um, like one thing about me, when I first met Reggie, like I wasn't. I was new to the school. I was trying to get acclimated because that's my sister kept telling me, get acclimated with people, like don't stay to yourself. And I remember he was doing the MLA program, and there's a standard for all the students, and you have to maintain a standard of a GPA, and you know you have to get involved with all these things. And I wasn't meeting none of the requirements. I mean, I just really just wanted to be around these like-minded individuals, these leaders, these future leaders, some of these scholars, and I just love being in the room, love being in the environment. And he just pulled me in the office and he was like, listen, yo, like you're not doing any of the things that are required of you to be in this program. And he's like, so I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. And I just was like, I don't know what came over me. I just was like, nah, like I'm not leaving. Like I really need to be here. I love this program. I love what you're doing with this program. And let's just say in short, I advocated for myself. I spoke up and just said what I needed to say. And I think to start there, like I'm not even gonna lie, like to answer his question, how do I advocate for myself? I think I think because I'm the youngest, I got this trait. I'm the youngest of three. I must have learned somehow in my journey that if I speak, like I'm gonna get what I need or want. I'm assuming that's where it came from when I was a little boy, because I was always outspoken in the sense of if I need it, I'm gonna say it. But I have this phrase that I tell all the communities I'm a part of and that I lead. Like I literally tell them one of my non-negotiables is we do not suffer in silence. Like I don't know what it is, and I thank God that I have this trait. I can't suffer in silence. Like for some reason, if I feel it, I'm gonna say it. If I think it, I'm gonna say it. And it's not that I don't have discretion. This discretion. I just I just don't like suffering in silence. I don't like the idea of people not knowing how I feel. I don't like the idea of walking into a room and people are like, "Oh, Al's good," and I'm not. I'm just not attracted to that reality. So I think step one for me is I just speak up when I need to. Like I speak up unless like it has to be like one of the things where it's just not the time. Those are moments where I won't say nothing. But usually like I think the essence of even my ministry is like I'm using my voice in a way where I'm saying a lot of things that need to be said. And I think that's why a lot of people even resonate with me. But yeah, that's number one. I speak up. I ask for help when I need it. I don't like putting on a front again because I don't like the idea of no one knowing that something's wrong when there's something wrong. Um, Number two, like I just like you, I don't know if you saw me drinking this drink. This is one of my smoothies that I'm really big on. Like I'm really big on making sure that I'm good. So if I need to rest, I'm gonna rest. If I need time, I'm gonna get time. If I need to go for a walk, I'm gonna go for a walk. Like I have to like, especially being a mental health professional, like we have to incorporate what we call beauty into our lives. We have to do things that keep us inspired and filled. And so for me, like I watch a lot of movies, I listen to a lot of music. I keep a small circle, but even in that, like I would say how I advocate for myself, I surround myself around people who are supportive and are like-minded like me. Like I try to make sure that my circles are tight. And it started off, I guess, as trust issues, but I've seen later down in my life as it's really helped me who I let in and who I don't let in because my people are like a real, I always say that I credit all of me to my people because I have a really big support system. So those are the top three because I don't want to stay on this too long, but I speak up when I need to. I take care of myself to make sure that I'm ready and alert and on top of stuff. But then I surround myself around people um, that are really supportive, and I really make sure I don't let drama into my circles because that I've seen relationships is where a lot of where our contention and our strife and our problems come from when we let the wrong people in. So that I'll say that's my top three for now. And of course, my faith, obviously. Um, like I really make sure, I'm getting poured into, but that goes into even the people I have that pray for me, that walk with me. And I, you know what, I'll add this one more thing and I'm done because I think it's important to say. I have really, really great leaders. Like I'm not a man left to myself. Like I have a lot of people hold me accountable. And I think the way I advocate for myself is I don't allow myself to not be held accountable, even when I'm held accountable. Like, I don't think anybody likes being held accountable. I don't, but I allow people to hold me accountable because I know it makes me better. I literally allow myself to receive correction. And I give my ear to my people that are over me. I have leaders, I have pastors, I have a lot of people that if they say, I'll listen, like I listen. And so it's a funny way of saying that, but I advocate for myself by allowing myself to be corrected and to be held accountable. So that's a really big way. And I think the scripture says, it says a man left to himself is a danger to himself. And so, yeah.
That's powerful. So back to the original conversation with Dr. Walker or Reggie Walker at the time.
Yes.
How did he respond to you saying, no, I'm not being dismissed from this program?
It's so funny. I think he just looked at me like, what do you mean no? Like, he was just like so taken back. But what's so crazy is like it's very faint to me, the details of the conversation. I'm sure he could speak to it too. I remember we were just kind of talking about again furthering, like I have to start meeting some of these expectations. But you know, somewhere down the line, we both really just really connected, especially with our faith, and it just became a really beautiful brotherhood that I'm truly grateful for. Like I don't, he'll probably answer it better. I don't remember the details. I just remember he looked at me like I was crazy, but then I think he did reiterate like giving me another opportunity to really step it up. And he really helped me too. Like he really saw where I was struggling when I told him some like about certain things with the school and really learning how to operate because it was a big school. I transferred to that school, so I was learning so much. And I think he realized that he needed to jump in and really like assist me because I really needed help. I really did. And of course to the EOF program, like you guys took me in and just helped me find footing in a lot of ways that I'm truly grateful for. So yeah.
So I remember, so Montclair State University, I remember you received an award from the EOF program,
Yes.
an advocacy award or something of that sort.
Yeah.
And I never remember your speech. I didn't really know you that well at the time, but the
Mm.
speech was so powerful, hilarious. It was long, but it for us to know that we're working with a set population of scholars, and then somebody who's not in the program
Yeah.
is impacted just as equally as a student who was in the program
Yeah.
wants to share
Yeah.
the good news. That was a very powerful moment.
Yeah.
That was a very important moment for our program for folks to see how powerful EOF is. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that moment.
For sure.
In terms of your journey now, when did you realize you said you're a minister? Tell us a little bit about your upbringing. When did you become a minister?
Yeah.
And was this where you are now with being a filmmaker and having a nonprofit and winning
Yeah.
so many titles? Um, how do you find the intersection and where did the love for all of this come?
Yeah. I mean, so I say short answer back to the people in my life. Like I really was never involved with my church or in ministry or even just the administrative work that I do now, like you said, the nonprofit. And I really, it's so crazy. I didn't have any really big aspirations. My biggest one was I did want to be able to produce a film one day. That was my whole world. And I would say my life now is a product of people giving me wisdom and really changing the course of my life. So for example, I wanted to go to film school. My mom was like, listen, you need to get your education. That's how I ended up going to school. And at that time, I just figured everybody goes to school for business. So I just became a business major and I then transferred to Montclair. I really wasn't enjoying the major. I love business. I love marketing. I love sales. That was in me, but I just couldn't seem to see why certain students were happy. And I'm just like going through it. I'm not liking this major. So I had to make a decision with the help of some of the people I already named. I really just had to really look at my passion, and my passion is with people. Like I know I love people. I know I love helping people. I know I love encouraging people. And so that's when I went into the psychology route. Now, during this time, I am kind of getting involved with my church. I'm helping out with the youth, because again, I'm really in touch with the fact, okay, I clearly have a passion for the youth. I clearly have a passion for people. So I just told my pastor, like, listen, pastor, wherever you need help, I just want to serve. I just want to, I'm back home, I'm open to serving. He was like, listen, I want you involved with the youth. So again, people really putting me in certain places. So him putting me in places where I had to serve the youth and just serving the church, period. Like I was able to serve my church with my camera abilities and skills. And that all grew into like realizing like, okay, I'm finding like this let's say joy and this fulfillment or like alignment and just serving in these capacities. And then just really being close to my pastor, like him really like training me up to be a leader. Because I never even saw myself as a leader. And when the more responsibility he gave me, I start to become and see like, oh wow, like I didn't know I had this in me. And then, graduating from Montclair, then going on to get my master's degree in counseling, that opened up a whole nother element, just not just my care for people, but being able to care for people in a professional way. And so then, I'm seeing this care that I have for people, this love I have for the young people, the youth, and just encouraging people. Of course, I'm going to encourage people within the faith. So this ministry is being birthed in me. This professional care is being birthed in me. That all mixed together is which would end up birthing Let's Move, which is the nonprofit. We literally just help people make progress. That's the slogan. It's a nonprofit organization that helps people make progress. And the reason why that was birthed is because I started to see a need. I saw that people can be encouraged within their faith and have a very real experience in church, but after church, from Monday to Saturday or wherever day that they worship, they're having real struggles making practical progress in life.
Yep.
And so I wanted to build a bridge where when you leave your worship experience, you know that there's real practical work to do to have a more meaningful experience in life, whether that be spiritually, naturally, emotionally, financially. Like there are real things you must do than just lift your hands in service and say hallelujah or shout amen. And I saw that people really struggle in church because they just didn't have nobody to help them come up with a plan, really direct them. And so like I brought together all these professionals from different places that really joined in on the mission, helped me really build to create something for people that, I mean, we've been able to help people get funding. We've been able to help people get out of Section 8 experiences and all types of situations that you wouldn't believe it, but they'll show up to church dressed up, ready to go. But in their personal life, they were struggling. And so and it's still growing. Let's Move. Like I'm really looking into more opportunity to expand it and do things in an efficient way to bless people. But that's how that was birthed. It's like all of that, what I just said. And then, when it comes to things like, what's the word? Like, I never saw myself even doing events. I never even saw myself traveling. It's just, I would say I'm the product of becoming because of my leaders, because of people like you, people like Dr. Reggie, people like my mom, so many people that were able to just, like my first event in Montclair, when I came to Montclair, when they asked me, they wanted me to do an event where they asked me to speak, I'm like, I'm not a speaker. Like all I can do is just share my heart. And so I went and did that. And the message that I have that God has given me, it connects with so many people because I think they can see the sincerity. And I'm not faking it. I'm just really giving my heart. Like I heard a quote, it said, I think Mike Spence, he said, I forgot who he said it, but he said, if you speak from your head, people will hear you. But if you speak from your heart, people will feel you. And I've just always held true to that. Like I'm always going to just speak from my heart. I don't use any notes. Like if you've ever seen me talk, I don't use notes. But I am very calculated in what I'm going to share. Like at this point in my career, I would say I do know what I'm going to share. So I know how to stay within my time limits. But yeah, like I'm the product of real people seeing me, encouraging me, affirm me, and then getting responsibilities that have stretched me beyond my capacity because I can't tell you that I plan for any of this. I can't. It's just, yeah.
You mentioned Mike Spence. I think he has
Yes.
a message for you as well.
Oh, wow. My God, Mike. My God, Mike.
My brother Al, listen, look, dog. It's been a lot of years, a lot of time we put in together. I love you. I'm proud of you, bro. Yo, listen, I had this one question that I think that will bless the people. Was there ever a time where you thought you wanted to give up? We wanted to throw in a towel. What steps did you take to keep going? To not want to give up or quit? Like, I think that, that would really bless people. I want to hear that too. So I love you, bro. Listen, let's keep doing it. Job not finished.
It's my brother.
Job not finished.
It's my brother.
My
That's my
favorite
brother.
speaker, Mike Spence.
That's my
What's
boy.
your reaction?
That's my guy. He's great at asking questions. I will say this. When I wanted to quit, with the steps that I took to come back? Number one, talking to people like him, my brothers. I'm really big on community. Like I have a workshop that I built called War Plans, and it's to create a plan for yourself when you're weak. And so one of mine is I do need to talk. Like I can't keep it in. So steps for me to come back when I want to quit is talk to people. And then after I'm done talking, I allow them to just speak life into me. Like I don't shut out different perspective. Like what I've learned is I need perspective. Like if I say I want to quit, like it always helps when somebody's like, yo, like you just started. Like you haven't even seen nothing yet. Like encouraging things to keep me going. So talking to my people is a step. Number two is I try to stay away from self-sabotaging things. That is something that is active for me. I'm not saying I'm perfect with that. Sometimes I don't always mourn the best. Like I just learned parts of myself when I'm mourning is not always healthy, but like staying away from like obviously any type of substance abuse. Like I try to stay away from, venting to the wrong people. Because there are people that I learned recently, they will agree with your doubts because they've just never been certain places. They'll tell you, yeah, quit. You're right. It is too much. It's like, nah, you can't vent to the wrong people. I have to stay away from anything that's self-sabotaging because, if my emotions aren't right, I'm making it even worse. Like if you want to quit to some degree, you've been discouraged. And I know me, when I'm discouraged, I want to go inward and I just want to shut down. And it's like, that's not the best course of action. So one of the things I just started doing too is I go to the gym. Like going to the gym has been such a blessing for me. It gets my mind clear, gets me refocused. Um, like I said, eating cleaner, eating healthier, getting my rest helps. Those are some of the steps I take to ensure that I don't quit. Because again, it probably is something emotional going on. Like right now in the season of my life, I don't, it's not that I want to quit. I just really need to rebuild certain things. And, I'm navigating through loss. I'm navigating through a lot of transitions that's making me want to just retire. But, you got to stay strong. And so, yeah, like I said, so talking to my people, allowing them to hear me out, let me just get it out. Let them give me perspective. Mike is always one of those people. Mike will encourage me. I don't care what I tell him. I could tell him, Mike, I just can't go on. He'll just encourage me. I stay away from anything self-sabotaging. Like I said, any substance abuse. Um, I try to make sure I don't vent to the wrong people that's going to agree with my doubts. I make sure I'm in the gym, make sure I'm getting rest. I make sure I'm eating clean. And then I would say too, like doing things that keep me inspired. And one of the things for me is movies and also music, like cinematic scores. They take me to a certain place that it just resets me and reminds me of my mission. And of course, I'm trying to give people practical things, but if I give somebody a spiritual thing, is I do spend a lot of quiet time with God. I do like to just quiet down everything and listen. And I like to be in my word. And I like to allow him to just confirm things for me that kind of also keep me going. But I know sometimes that's not practical for certain people. So I like to try to give people real tangible things that they can do. But if they're mature spiritually, or if they have that background in the faith, that's like the primary thing because they'll understand what I mean by spending time with God versus somebody's like, I don't know what that means, Al. So yeah.
You mentioned more than once the importance of film and music to
Hmm.
help you find balance, help you
Yeah.
relax,
Yeah.
connect. Just curious to know what your thoughts are on the state of hip hop music. If you've ever been
Yeah. Love hip hop.
had a love for, connected with it. I know there's an artist who may be in a similar space with you. I don't know if you've heard of D1,
D1.
based out of New Orleans. He's
I think I saw something about there was a young man, I don't want to say his name wrong, but maybe it is D1, a young man advocating for like gun violence.
well,
Or
this
was it?
what D1 is. He's actually promoting, and he's anti-violence.
Yeah,
He
that's what I mean. He's against like gun violence, stuff like that,
Yeah,
right?
he's out of New Orleans. Has dreads.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, for sure.
Light skinned guy. I think he has a background in education. But
Wow.
his sentiments are very similar to mine, where you have these rappers promoting, private prisons, right? Filling up private prisons with their content,
Right.
and sending
Right.
these kids to the private schools.
Yeah. Right.
And I have a love for hip hop as well, but I was just curious to know, based on your spiritual walk, what is your take on the state of hip hop music, rap music?
It's a great question, Dr. Gene. I mean, this why this I love music. So that's number one. I started by saying I love music. I love all kinds of music. I'm a music dude. I think any filmmaker understands we need music to make what we do work. But I think where I'm at now, because I'm somebody who I can tell you right now, I've listened to a lot of songs that promote gun violence, um, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I've listened to all kinds of music where I can say for me, I've never said, all right, after listening to the song, I'm gonna go pick up a gun or I'm gonna go seek this life. That's not my world. So I can't speak on certain things, but I will say this, where I'm at now in my life, I don't have a taste for that kind of music. I'm not inspired by it. My focus is a little different. I've grown in many ways where I don't really relate to a lot of the words. And, the hip hop we grew up on is way different than hip hop it is now. Like nowadays, it's just, I'm finding myself not being able to repeat the lyrics. It's just like, there's not even like, back in the day, we had artists where it was like, yeah, it might have not been perfect, like music that we should be promoting, but at least it was something that, it was cool. Put that on when we walk in the room, put that on when we're at this function. Like we could repeat some of these words, but then when it comes to like this generation now, like there's certain things I can't really get with. That's just me naturally. Like that's just me as the older I become, I just don't have a taste for it. But then spiritually, like when you ask me where I am in my walk, like spiritually, like I'm really big on influence. I'm really big on what is inspiring you, what is influencing you. And I'm gonna say something really interesting on this, but hip hop has a very competitive tone. Like hip hop has this feeling, it can make you feel good, but it can also make you feel very competitive. It can also make you feel sometimes really greedy. Like hip hop is about more. Hip hop is about being fly, being fresh, being at the top. It's at the, being the best. There's this undertone of competitive and greed and I'm not trying to demonize hip hop, but I've found myself not being able to listen to certain songs because it'll inspire me in a way that's contrary to my mission. And so sometimes you listen to the undertone of an artist that's beefing with another artist. When I want to practice forgiveness, this artist saying, "Nah, we gonna drive this into the dirt." It's like, all right, it's like I can't repeat that because that's actually the opposite of the heart posture that I want. And so it's like I can get with him, be like, oh, this rap beef is dope. Like the lyrics is fire. But at the same time, like I know that some of the things that hip hop promotes is not something that I would use the term feed my spirit, or I would say influence me. Like I can't allow that to. So that isn't so much for lack of better terms, in my diet or in my playlist.
Mm-hmm.
But when you ask me the state of hip hop, like I really believe our generation is in danger in a sense that a lot of artists have private lives that we don't know about. And from what I heard, some of these artists don't do what they rap about, but some of these kids are emulating some of these things that they hear and they're not getting the right perspective. Like some of these artists, yes, maybe let's say addicted to drugs and overdosing on drugs. And some of these kids are, enjoying that lifestyle because this is what their favorite artists do. There's always going to be, because hip hop is not always, quote unquote, I want to say this too, hip hop is not always promoting drugs and
Right.
sex and greed and gun violence. There's some hip hop that's actually clean, like it's not promoting any of that. So I don't want to make it seem like hip hop is like all bad. But the hip hop that I listen to, because I'll be honest, I don't listen to a lot of, I don't want to be controversial, but I don't listen to a dope hip hop song that's like about sunshine and rainbows. It doesn't, if I hear a hard beat, like, you know what I'm saying? I want somebody to come and spit. It's got to be dope. If it's corny, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not, so if there's artists out there that are really fire, that are rapping in a dope way and the beats are fire, like that's cool. Like I just, the artists I used to listen to are not, they did promote those things. That's what I'm speaking to, but
Yeah,
I hope I'm answering the question.
no, you did. But what's powerful for me to hear as you talk, obviously, as you mentioned, the dominant themes in hip hop and what the machine is pushing is a lot of these negative
Yeah.
things, right? Hip
Yeah.
hop is like a grocery store. There's healthy food, there's unhealthy,
Right.
right? So you got to
Right.
definitely manage your diet. I was raised off of edutainers, KRS-One, Chuck D, Public Enemy, where they were putting the medicine in the candy. So
Mm,
I know for a fact I was so empowered and inspired by those folks. I know
right.
the younger generation are also inspired and motivated by in the adverse,
Right.
different types of messaging. But what's
Right.
powerful is that you mentioned influence. I mean, you're an influencer. When I saw What's the Word in Newark, it was fun. It was exciting.
Mm,
And oftentimes there's this image of what church is. And you
mm,
brought this connection to spirituality and getting closer to God and celebrating life and love in a way that I hadn't seen. So
Mm.
you with, over 500,000 followers on social, you're literally introducing, in my opinion, all generations, but the younger generation who may be completely turned off to God, the Bible,
Wow.
church, and you're
Mm.
introducing it in a way that they can be drawn to. Like literally, when you were, I think you were in Maryland, I sent your flyer to some of my friends out there, and they were like, "Oh yeah, yeah." They were like super. They already knew who you were,
Wow.
and they were planning to come to the show in the
Wow.
DMV area. So you're that influencer now. How does it feel to be in that position and doing something that's extremely powerful? The biblical verse that I live by, Al, it's actually part of my I will movement, is Ephesians 4:29, that states, "Make
Mm.
sure the words that you share are to build and not destroy."
Yes.
And you're doing that on a daily basis at scale. So how do you feel being in that position? And also, I mean, for the influencers that are watching, how did you catch fire with your movement and
Yeah.
to scale it to where it is now?
Well, first answer is it is a lot of responsibility in the sense that I do know that my words hold weight. So like I'm always very, 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 very careful about what I'm actually presenting. Like I recognize that my platform, although it is quote unquote my platform, I see it more as an assignment, an opportunity to serve, an opportunity to, like you said, just be a beacon of hope. And so like it's a lot of responsibility, but what helps me, I would say, is I'm just being myself. Like I always say, I crack a joke. I say, I don't practice what I preach. I just preach what I live. And I've learned that that helps me not become a hypocrite. That helps me not try to get on and share information that I don't actively live. Like that's where I've seen most people hiccup. It's like they're trying to make content instead of allowing life become their content. And I'm in a place where I love being a voice. I love inspiring people. I just never thought I would inspire this many people. I didn't never thought I would become, let's say, an influencer. So yeah, so I would even say to the people that are watching that are influencers about how I caught fire. I think for me, it's like I'm not obsessed, and I'm not gonna say I don't care. I'm just not pressed for vanity metrics. I didn't do it for followers. I'm not looking for this crazy amount of engagement. I just really focused on being able to reach the one person. Like if just one person heard this, would they be blessed? Would they be inspired? Would they be impacted? And I always kept true to that when I first even got on social media. It was always like, because I haven't said anything different. I'm saying the same thing. It's just that before it may have been 5 likes, 50 likes. Now it's this many likes. It's like, but I was only like, even in North Carolina, like but right before I'm about to walk out, like I always go, if nobody's out there when I touch that stage, I don't care if it's just one person, I'm going to talk to them with all of my passion,
Love it.
because see that gauge helps me stay sober. And so I feel like when you catch fire or when that moment is happening, when let's say you're being recognized, if you have these gauges and these boundaries and these restrictions and these parameters, like it helps you, because I would tell a rising influencer, it's never enough. It's never going to be enough followers. It's never going to be enough money. It's never going to be enough attention. It's never going to be enough recognition. You can have a million comments saying you're dope. One person can say you're trash. It's going to ruin your day. Like it's never enough. Like it's like how would they say when Kanye, all 14 of his songs, people like, but this one complaint, he was upset. It's like, it's never going to be enough. So if I like to have a gauge on myself. So that way, if it goes viral, if it doesn't, like people are talking about the algorithm right now. If the algorithm doesn't work or it doesn't matter. I guarantee you, at least somebody's gonna see it. And
Yeah.
so that's my gauge for me as I'm an influencer. But I also, like, I'll say one of the tips that I do too is like I talk to people before I talk to the people. Like I'm always big on like, yo, what do you think about this? This is what's been going on in my mind. Like I'm not rushing to a microphone. I'm not rushing to a camera. I'm not rushing to make content. And I think our generation is sometimes they can shoot themselves in the foot in the name of making content. It's like, that's not me. Like there's so many things that even if like what I do is, again, I'm a talker. I talk to my people so much. And once I notice a reoccurring theme is coming up and it's blessing people, I go, okay, maybe I should give this to the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I take the approach of compassion. I really believe everybody's going through something and everybody's going through some similar things. And so I'm against content or people or influencers that are just always big on critiquing and complaining and going off on people or telling people what they should and should not be doing, like in like this aggressive, mean tone. My thing is like, yo, we get on social media so that we can consume content that's gonna make us feel better. I don't think anybody goes on so they can just get more upset. Like I don't know what someone's day is like. Somebody may be on their way to work. Somebody may just using this phone that can feel like an addiction as an escape right now. Let me just go ahead and at least give them something meaningful. Like we heard about, okay, these influencers are beefing. This one's reacting to what happened. And we got this gossip coming from here. And it's like, man, listen, if you're going to hear from me, I'm going to be like, yo, I know what you're going through. Okay. And we're all in this life together. So what's something hopeful we can be thinking about? You know what I'm saying? So that's really, it's a responsibility that I don't take for granted. And I'm very grateful to be here for real.
That's awesome. I'm the son of a minister, so the work that I do in education and edutainment, if you will, I consider it my ministry. To your ministry to add your unique flavor to it.
Yeah.
Passion. What you said about just preaching what you live is very, very powerful. I feel it in this interview. I feel it. I felt it in all the interactions we've had. Most of the time I've seen you though, you've had a camera in your hand, either taking pictures or video, right? Do you have a quick message for the future filmmakers, those who want to put out content, whether through film or photos and images?
Yeah.
Any encouragement for those folks?
My encouragement would be to be different. And as much as you study other filmmakers and other people's content, you gotta try your hardest to watch your inspirations, meaning let them inspire you, but don't copy them.
Right.
Like, remember that you have something genuine in you that I believe God has given to you that needs to be brought into the earth. And I always tease people and say, remember, the people you're inspired by usually are the people that are being different, where no one's looking for the same old thing. Your unique story is enough, and you don't have to go far to look for it. Just tell your story, literally, in your creative way. Like there's not one, like I just watched Tyler Perry's documentary. Somebody told me to watch it. And what I noticed is he literally is just telling his story. He just is telling his story and in just his unique way. And so people don't realize you don't have to find inspiration. Tell your story. Just tell your story. I don't know how you're gonna do it. I don't know what's gonna look like. Even with me, like what's the word I tell people at the end, like when I'm encouraging people to go do what God's calling them to do, I say it may not look like what I'm doing. And that's okay. We don't need another Al. We need a new, fresh, and that's easy to find because all of us have something new and fresh. We may not have confidence in it, or we're trying to create what's already been created and we don't realize. That's why we all get lost sometimes in, unfortunately, this world of content now. It's like the people who are different are going to make the loudest noise. And I don't care if it starts off trash. I don't care if it's corny. I have videos on YouTube that I'll never speak to this day that are so trash, so corny. The quality is terrible. I used to do short films with my cousins, but we were just having fun. And that's where it started. And I had my uncle tell me from my last where he was like, yo, seeing where you started and seeing where you are is inspiring. But it's like, you got to start somewhere, and it's okay. It's okay if it's not dope. It's okay if it's not, it's going to be dope 10 years from now when we look back at your work. We're going to admire it because it's like, wow, this is where you started. So like, I just tell people, just be you, be different, tell your story, and just don't try to copy nobody. But you can be inspired, just don't copy them because we need what God has given to you. So that's my encouragement.
And it's truly a journey, not a destination. So yeah, I completely relate to looking at some of my old content. Like, wow, I'm growing a lot and still growing. Right, you're going to continuously sharpen the tools, get stronger, and that circle of influence you mentioned. I think Mike Spence shared it, but I think it's a Nipsey Hussle quote. It states, "If your circle of friends don't inspire you, they're not a circle or a cage." I live by that now. I'm more intentional with that framework and that mindset. And I've seen it, I've seen it throughout life, folks who've gotten influenced by others, because show me your friends and you're showing me your future. You're the sum of your 5 closest friends. Being mindful of the company you keep and also what you consume. And
Yeah.
that's the food diet, that's the screen diet, etc.
Yeah.
Very powerful. There's a few more quick questions before we get you out of here. I don't want you to miss
You
your
good. You good. You good.
for those who are trying to get closer to God, have a disconnect for whatever reason, were walking to God with God and then lost their way, are there any books in the Bible, scriptures that you recommend, and or just words of encouragement?
Yeah, I would say I'll start it off by this, like, because if somebody has lost their connection to God or is trying to get closer to God, it sounds crazy, but reading the Bible may not be the easiest. And so what I would say is to get involved in a community of people who are also on the same journey, because you're going to need that support. Like you said, the people you surround yourself with, it's like, so I would tell that person, surround yourself around people who also want to get closer to God. That's number one. And you may find that in a church. You may find that serving in a church. There may be a small group you heard about. There may be an organization at the school that you heard about. Whatever it is, I would plug in. And in those communities, hopefully there's somebody that can like lead and guide, especially if you're not in a church. If you're in a church, you have a pastor that will lead and guide, but you need somebody that's going to lead and guide you before you open up the book. Because if you open up the Bible, it'll just feel like I'm just doing this. Hopefully I get something. It's like, no, you need to first learn what is the Bible. It's a collection of books. And then you got to understand, okay, well, who wrote the Bible? And then when you find out who wrote the Bible, you learn that these writers were writing to people and to other communities or other churches, or then you'll learn that there's also historical documents in the Bible. And then there's poetic literature in the Bible. And then there's eyewitness testimonies in the Bible. So like, you got to learn what you're reading. So then you can go, okay, now I get it. So it's not just this spiritual experience, even though it is, it's also, I have an understanding of what I'm reading before I start reading so that I can actually take away something. So I would get in a community with some like-minded people that's going to hold me accountable, because that helps. I need a leader and a guide that's going to steer me in the right direction and teach me the Bible. Once they learn the Bible, I would say the first book I would start in is the Gospel of John. That's a book that's an eyewitness testimony of one of the disciples, someone who walked with Christ, who is now testifying of who he is. Now there's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Those are all eyewitness testimonies, and those are the Gospels. And that just means the good news. It's so crazy, but they all have a different perspective. They all have a different approach to who this man was. And if somebody wants to get to know who God is, I would tell them to read that book, because he kind of basically tells you, okay, this is who this guy is. This is what he was doing. This is what he was saying. This is how he addressed these situations. This is how he dealt with these people. You get to really hear his heart. You get to see his motive. And all the Gospels except John, all the Gospels kind of let you go, with this information here, I want you to decide who he is. But the book of John, he basically is like, listen, before you start reading, I'm letting you know, this is the guy that you need to really get to know. And when you read it, it just is such a great place to start. And I would tell them to pray before they read, ask God to help them understand, because it is a very spiritual experience. The Bible is a book that, not as you read it, it also reads you, and it's confirming things. It's a book that has literally no correlation to, let's say, 2024, but yet it can speak to you in 2024. Like it's really the word of God. And so to me, those are the steps I would take. Get plugged in, get people that are going to walk with you and teach you, because you're going to have questions. As you read, you're going to come up with questions. And I would tell that person, do not run away from the questions. Don't run away from doubts. Don't run away from your critiques, or your, like, if you're like a skeptic, that's okay. Embrace all of that. I always tell people, God is not intimidated by our questions, because we've been raised like, don't question God. That's talking about from a posture of like dishonor and disrespect. But no, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, God, I don't understand this. Can you teach me? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a difference between me saying, oh, Dr. Gene, he's this top dude over this amazing program at a school. And I'm saying, man, I'm questioning Dr. Gene. I don't feel like he had good motives on this, versus I could just say, hey, Dr. Gene, why did you do this? Like, that's two different ways of going about that. And so for me, like, I always tell people, embrace the questions, embrace the skeptic, embrace all of it, because when you come up with questions, you're going to find those answers. When you find those answers, you're never going to be disappointed. So That's what I would tell that person trying to get closer to God.
That's awesome. The Bible study piece is so important. I'm glad
Yeah.
you took it there because that's what it really is. It's the interpretation of the Bible, or
Yeah.
understanding of the Bible. And
Yeah.
how you described it and broke it down was beautiful. So thank you so much for that.
Of course. Of
Let
course.
me get you out of here on this last question. The movement I have is I Am I Will, about identity and goals, who you are, who you plan to become.
Yeah.
Albaner C. Eugene Jr., who are you? What is your I am and what is your I will?
I am a son. I am a brother. I am a friend. And I consider myself a servant. I am a servant. And I will continue to inspire everybody I come in contact with. I will continue to be a son to my mom, my dad, and to God. I will continue to be a brother to my sister and my brother and all the people that have become family to me. I will consistently be a friend to the people at my church and to just people I come in contact with. And I will be a servant. Everybody I come in contact with that I know is called to be in my life, I serve. I will serve my community. I will serve my pastors, my leaders, my church. And yeah, that's I believe I will continue to shift narratives and cultures and just change the trajectory of how we see. And I believe that I will use my voice to be a beacon of hope around the world. So yeah, that's my I am, I will.
And the next stop is Europe.
Yes, next
Next
stop.
stop is Europe. Okay, I don't want you to miss your flight.
No, you're good. No, you good. I actually have to pick somebody up from the airport. That's what I meant by going to the airport.
I'm
Yeah, I
thinking
gotta
about
pick
to the
somebody up.
next destination. Okay.
Yeah.
If you ever want to getting out of here with this one, how can folks get in contact with you? How can they find you? What's the best way to make contact with you and your amazing content?
Yes, I mean, well, my social, you really could just search my name, Albaner C. Eugene Jr., but it's Instagram is at this is Albaner. My YouTube is just my full name. That thing that's pretty much. I think I'm on TikTok too. I think it's. You just search my name. I don't even know my TikTok name. I haven't. But what I will say is, I want to say thank you, Dr. Gene. You are amazing. You are a leader. You are a pioneer. You've paved the way for so many people. What I love about you is you're not just becoming successful in your own right, but you're making sure everyone around you experiencing success, has an opportunity to be successful. You point people, you've been an advocate for so many, like you live this, like you live this. Like I've watched you firsthand. Like it's like you're always looking to put somebody on. And I would not be here if it wasn't for you. I tell people this story all the time. I said, literally, and you don't know this. I don't think you know this. So I'm surprising you with something else. I just quit my job because I felt led to quit my job. I really believe God was calling me into full-time ministry. And I said, God, I'm gonna need to have some income. I'm gonna need to get some opportunities to bring some income in because yeah, I'm gonna serve the church. And yeah, at the time they were trying to pay me what they could. And you know, it wasn't this crazy amount, but I didn't mind because I just wanted to serve. And I remember that same week, Dr. Gene, you don't even notice, I was walking and you stopped me in Montclair and you said, yo, are you Albaner? And I was like,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And you were like, yo, I saw a video you did. And you mentioned one of the scholars that was in it. He said, I love what you do. Listen, I want to give you an opportunity. I want you to, you know, use some of your talents and your gifts for the EWF program. I was like, yo, thank you. I appreciate you. And you were always giving me opportunities, always hitting me up. And you don't understand, you have been provision, and you've helped me and even introduced me to this program that again has changed my life. And I will forever speak well about you guys and everything you do because you guys are changing lives. This is not a job for you. This is literally what you do. And I'm forever grateful and I'll never stop shouting you out. Like I appreciate you, Dr. Gene, for real.
Oh, that's powerful.
Real.
Oh, that's moving. I'm speechless. I mean, for one, I'm that age where I don't remember that interaction. So, that's the worst part.
That was years ago. Wow.
I'm sure I didn't have this great goatee at the time.
That was like 2015, 16. That's a long time ago.
Wow, man.
But I'll never forget that.
Well, it's interesting. My AOF counselor literally said to me, Al, here, complete this graduate school application scholarship. I think you'd be great for grad school. Literally the reason I went to grad school. That one person
Wow.
believing in me, Errol Hibbert, may he rest in power, may he rest peacefully.
Wow.
literally that one interaction. So when we talk about the power of the word, making sure the words you share, the build and not destroy as well. And now seeing what you're doing and amplifying it, it's amazing to watch. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to connect. Let's continue to move. The work is not finished.
I finished.
But very, very proud of you, Al. Continue to do the work, and we'll stay connected. God bless
Yes.
all your loved ones.
I appreciate you. For real. Thank you, Dr. Gene.